What's going on, you guys? It's D Ill at 926 here. I just wanted to make a video talking about Eli Manning, and as you know, he just retired on Friday. I know I'm kind of late when it comes to this. I just wanted to basically speak on his career and kind of talk about what I thought about him as a quarterback throughout the 16 seasons that he played for the New York Giants. And just talk about how I liked Eli, but I thought Eli definitely hurt these teams in a lot of years more than he helped. Just in my opinion, as a Giants fan. I mean, I felt this day needed to come a long, long time ago. And I know a lot of you fans don't like to hear that because I know there's a lot of Eli fans out there. And you guys consider him the greatest quarterback in New York Giants history and everything, and that's fine. I mean, I get that. I mean, based on his numbers and everything, you have no other choice but to say that in comparison to the other quarterbacks that we've had play for this team. You know, the Phil Simms, the Y.A. Tittles, the Fran Tarkingtons. You know, arguably you could say that if those guys played in this day and age of football, maybe they could put up numbers like Eli Manning. The game has completely changed now. You get away with a lot more as far as, what these wide receivers can do. And, I mean, this defenses really can't do much as far as playing, lockdown defense on these offenses nowadays because you can't touch a wide receiver. You get 5 yards of contact. Anything after that's a penalty. So things were a lot tougher back then. To sit here and say Eli Manning is the greatest quarterback to ever play for this franchise is, to me, a little bit of a stretch because you don't know what those other guys would have done playing now. That's just how I feel about that. But Eli Manning, to me, for much of his career, was a complete roller coaster. And to me, a lot of the time, he was a complete headache to watch play quarterback for the New York Giants. It started out rough with him, and it took a long time for it to get good with him. I mean, you look at his numbers, his first 4 seasons, he was under 60%. And that is not acceptable for a starting quarterback in this league, especially a quarterback that was drafted as high as he was. Especially with all the turmoil that came with him being drafted by the Giants and then him being drafted by the Chargers and then, the Giants trading Phillip Rivers to San Diego for Eli Manning. He basically picked where he wanted to go. He basically threw a fit. Well, he didn't throw a fit, but, I mean, he was a college quarterback. He was a guy coming out of college that basically dictated where he was going to play in the NFL. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way from the start. Now, sure, I was happy. At the time that we drafted Eli Manning, I was extremely happy when we got him. All right, we were getting the Manning little brother, okay? So I was happy about that. I thought this guy would come in and basically be Peyton Jr. for the most part. And there was all this talk about him, being better than Peyton when he was coming out of college and how good of a deep ball he could throw, this, that, and the other. And some of that talent was on display when he actually came into the league. I mean, you could see it. But his rookie season, I was at one of the worst statistical games ever by a quarterback when the Giants played the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium, and Eli put up basically a 0 for a QBR. And I think statistically that's one of the worst games ever played by a quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that game was rough. That game was really rough. It was probably the worst game I've ever been to as a Giants fan. But, yeah, like I said, the beginning was extremely rough. I mean, it took the man 5 seasons to get over 60%. 60% completion. To have a 60% completion percentage. That is not acceptable in the NFL, especially nowadays. It's not acceptable at all. And you guys put this man on this pedestal just because of these 2 Super Bowl wins, and you don't look at his complete body of work. And all you ever say is, oh, well, Jerry Reese completely screwed him, or the offensive line completely screwed the man. And that's not the case, because it took him 5 years to get over 60%, and he was playing behind Sean O'Hare, Richie Schubert, Kareem McKenzie, Chris Snee, and David Deal. He was playing behind those guys, and he was still making mistakes. He was making horrible mistakes that was costing us games time and time again. Something that he did throughout his career, regardless of the line that he had, in his early stages of his career, or the crappy lines that he had later on in his career. He produced, but he still made mistakes, like boneheaded mistakes, that just drove you crazy. So yeah, took him 5 years to get over 60%. The Super Bowl year in 2007, his completion percentage was 56.1. 56.1. There's backup quarterbacks in this league that post a better completion percentage than that. That just tells you how inefficient this guy was to start his career. It was horrible. And everything that Tiki said about the man, he wasn't lying. Tiki was telling the truth. Nobody wanted to hear it, but Tiki was telling the truth. And all these people bashed Tiki Barber about what he said about Eli Manning. What did he lie about? Even in 2007, when they won the Super Bowl, the man posted a 56.1 completion percentage. Yeah, he got hot in the playoffs. He did. There's no denying that. But the hate for Tiki Barber over what he said about Eli Manning is so outrageous, because what he said, he wasn't lying. New York was getting ready to run that man out of town, along with the fan base. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but I do. I remember it very well. So, I mean, going back to Tiki, I think Tiki basically saved the man's career the first, 3 seasons he was in the league, because Tiki posted 3 consecutive 2,000-yard scrimmage seasons. He put that team on his back, Eli's first 3 years, and took them to the playoffs, where they got bounced, where they got taken out by, I can't remember who it was. I can't even remember at this point. It's late right now. But they were one and done that year. That was the year that they played Oakland on New Year's Eve, and they won it to go into to actually win the division, I think, and go into the playoffs. And that was a game that Tiki had a run that was, 70 or 80 yards? That may have been the run that actually won the game for him, if I'm not mistaken. But all that Tiki Barber bashing because of what he said about Eli Manning was just, there was no need for it, because what Tiki said was absolutely true. So, going into 2008. All right, so Eli is coming off a Super Bowl win. Got hot. You won an MVP. Now, let me talk about that. All right. So, the man walks away with the MVP for Super Bowl 42. Now, for most of that game, Eli Manning produced one single touchdown. One single touchdown. For probably about 55, 56 minutes of play in that game. That's all he produced. A touchdown, and then Lawrence Tynes kicked the field goal. 10 points. That was it. Now, the Giants defense, Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora. These guys shut down running lanes, shut down passing lanes, hit Brady time and time again. Put more pressure on that man than he had ever faced before in his career. Hit him, sacked him, made him fumble, did everything possible to keep that game even close. To keep it close enough for Eli to even have a shot in hell to throw that prayer down the field to David Tyree. Come on, let's be real now. Eli Manning is not the reason why they won that Super Bowl. Yeah, he made a play in the fourth quarter. He made a great play, no doubt about that. But if that defense didn't do what it did for 3.5 quarters of play, Eli wouldn't have had a shot in hell. And for him to walk away with that Super Bowl MVP trophy is a crying shame. It should have gone to Strahan, should have gone to Tuck, or it should have gone to Osi Umenyiora. One of those guys. Somebody on that defense should have been rewarded for what that team accomplished that day, for what that defense accomplished that day. They held an offense in check, one of the greatest offenses in NFL history, to 14 total points. Held them to 7 points for pretty much the whole entire game. The entire game, basically. And then they gave up a touchdown late. Boo-hoo. So what? It was unbelievable what they did that day. The Patriots offense almost scored 50 points 3 times that year. Almost posted a 50-burger 3 times. And Eli Manning walks away with the MVP. That still baffles me. And then you guys talk about, oh, Eli Manning's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Bullshit. He's got 1 because he deserved it for Super Bowl 46. He didn't deserve it for 42. That was highway robbery, and he needs to give that Super Bowl MVP to the person, the rightful owner of that freaking trophy. It damn sure ain't him. And all you people that believes that's the case, believe that's what should have happened, you're only lying to yourselves. So I'm talking about you people put this man on this pedestal that he does not need to be on. He was a serviceable quarterback for us. He put up big numbers because he played 16 seasons in the NFL. 16 years. It's a long time. It was a lot of losing for us. What did he win? 4 division titles in 16 years? Where he was drafted? And I mean, I hate to come out here and make a video like this and seem like it's a big, like, Eli Manning hate video. I mean, it kind of is, but I don't hate him. I just don't like how the Giants fan base views this guy. Because nobody else talks about Strahan. Nobody else talks about Tuck. Nobody talks about OC. Nobody talks about JPP. Like, you guys do not give them the credit that you do to Eli Manning. And if you didn't notice, ever since that trio basically slowed down or fell apart, this team hasn't done shit. Hasn't done anything. There are quarterbacks in this league that would have killed to have 3 defensive ends like the New York Giants had for an extended period of time. And if you can throw in Kiwanuka too. Even though he didn't always play on the line, he played linebacker also. Quarterbacks would have loved to have that help on the other side of the ball that Eli Manning had. Everybody always tries to make it out about Eli Manning. It wasn't just Eli Manning. That's why I've grown so sour about the guy over the years, because the fan base is so freaking delusional when it comes to him. And they don't want to give any credit to anybody else. It's so damn disappointing, man. Like, I'm more about the rest of the players that have played for this team than I am Eli Manning. Eli Manning to me is not the end-all be-all of the freaking New York Giants. But, I mean, yeah. So, where did I stop? I stopped at 2008. And, what did he throw for? 2008. Oh yeah. That was the year that he went 11-1. Went 11-1. Plax shot himself. Eli fell apart. Eli folded up like a freaking lawn chair. He lost his 6'5" wide receiver that has arms like a freaking pterodactyl that bailed him out on bad throws time and time again. And he completely he didn't know what the hell to do with himself. Team fell apart. He fell apart. Like, this guy, he's not this great NFL quarterback that all you people make him out to be. I don't care. You can get pissed off at me all you want. I'm just telling it like it is. If you can't handle the truth about Eli Manning, I'm sorry. But I'm a Giants fan that's going to tell it like it is. I love this team to death, but that guy, he's just another player to me. Like I said, I give credit to the other players more than I do him. Sure, he's a quarterback. He's a guy that always touches the ball on every single play, but, man, he's He made so many mistakes over the years that cost us games. Now, sure, he won us some games, but man, he lost us a hell of a lot of games with crucial turnovers and big parts of games. There is not one person out there, not one of you can tell me any different. And if you do, you're just lying to yourself. So, like to me, Eli Manning had in his 16-year career. To me, he had probably like 5 to 6 solid NFL seasons out of a 16-year career. Other than that, I mean, it was just averageness filled with just prone to mistakes, just being prone to mistakes. So, 2009, he got his completion percentage up there. This was 2008. He got his completion percentage up to 60.3. So he finally got over that 60% threshold. And then 2009, he got up to 62.3. Okay, that was good. You know, I could live with that. I was happy that year. You know, 62.3. You know, you're completing most of your passes. You're doing what you need to do to move the ball down the field. Yeah, I can't really look at you and be like, you know, you're just not making enough throws, and you're doing what you need to do to help this team win. What did he throw for? He threw for 4,021 yards. He had 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. That's a good year. That's a good year. Those aren't numbers that are going to blow you away, but that's not a bad year. I can live with that. That's one of his solid years that I'm talking about. We go into 2010. He posts a 62.9. Throws for barely over 4,000 yards, 4,002. In this game nowadays, those numbers, I mean, those are numbers that are hovering around what Joe Flacco does. There's nothing spectacular. And you wouldn't consider Joe Flacco a Hall of Fame quarterback. But Joe Flacco got hot once. Joe Flacco went on a run like Eli did. Matter of fact, he posted better numbers than Eli Manning did in his one Super Bowl run, if I'm not mistaken. And that was with an old-ass Anquan Bolden. All right, so I was at 2010. So he threw for barely over 4,000 yards. Threw for 31 touchdowns. Strong amount of touchdowns. You know, that's damn good. 25 picks. That was the big 25 pick